everyone, and welcome back to episode 8 of Transform 360, where we dive into conversations that inspire, educate, and empower us. I am your host, Sabah Rashad, a pharmacist, a mental health advocate, and your guide to personalized well being. Let's take a moment to reflect how we think, how we see ourselves, and how we frame the world around us. Because the inner narrative doesn't just influence our lives, but it builds the foundation of who we become. And that is why our conversation is so important because mindset is not just a buzzword, it's the lens through which we live every day. Joining me today is someone who deeply understands the power of mindset and the work it takes to shift it. Jayme Shiarla. She is an executive wellness coach, speaker, author, and a workshop facilitator who helps high achieving professionals find fulfillment beyond their titles and live in true alignment both professionally and personally. Through her one to one coaching programs, she guides her clients out of the autopilot and back into their purpose with joy, peace, and presence. She is also the host of Make Time for Your Mind with Coach Jamie, an amazing podcast that is packed with powerful conversations and practical tools to support deep emotional and spiritual growth. Outside her work, Jamie is rooted in her faith, energized by CrossFit and coffee, and shows up fully whether she's serving at her church, diving into a great book, or hyping up everyone around her with love and intention. And today, I just wanted to thank her because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be in front of you guys, opening and talking. I'm so honored to have you here.
Well, my goodness, that is so kind of you, but I cannot take credit for that. You are the one that is doing this. And so I am so incredibly honored to be here with you today.
Absolutely. And I'm really excited for this conversation, Jamie. So let's start off with something that many of us struggle with. What are boundaries and why do they matter so much when it comes to mindset and personal growth?
I love this question. It's really funny because I feel like boundaries has become such this just trending phrase that everybody is saying, similar to the buzzword of mindset, right? But the problem is that so many people are claiming to have boundaries, but
Mhm.
they don't even actually know what a boundary is. And if we kick it to the actual just dictionary definition, it is literally where one thing stops and another thing starts. And so the analogy that I always like to give people is that a boundary is almost like you imagine that your body is a castle and the boundary being the security fence all around it. It is there to keep you safe. So setting a boundary is when you are defining something that is going to keep you, your castle, safe and protected, but also not be causing any harm or issue to the people around you either.
That's a perfect example. And could you also help us understand, maybe give a scenario where people should kind of actually practice boundaries?
Yes, absolutely. So we have all different sorts of boundaries. We have personal boundaries that we make with ourselves. We have it with our family. We have it within our work. We have emotional boundaries, right? There are so many different kinds of relationship or different types of boundaries that we have. But the other thing that is really, really important, it's something that I actually talk through in my boundaries course, is that so many people confuse a boundary and a rule where they say they're setting a boundary, but really it's they're just trying to tell somebody else what to do. So they're not honoring anything. They're just expecting somebody else to follow their rule.
Okay, that's amazing. And you mentioned about your boundaries course. Would you like to shine a little bit of light on that?
Yes, that would be perfect. I dive into this very much. It's a super simple course that literally you just get to take on your own time. And that's exactly what I break through in the very beginning is like, let's actually talk about what a boundary is. Let's talk about what it isn't. Let's talk about the difference between a boundary and a rule. And then I take individuals who go through this course through 6 simple steps to genuinely be able to properly define a boundary and multiple boundaries within their life, but then know how to implement them with sustainability.
That's amazing. I think a lot of people need this boundary course. And then thank you for bringing that up. And I love the example how you explained about boundaries and the castle. That really makes sense. My next question would be for someone in that space or that mindset who's maybe feeling like there's no room to even breathe based on what's happening around us nowadays. How can mindset coaching actually help those people?
Yeah. So, I'm a big believer that everything starts and ends within our minds, right? So, like, to me, I see mindsets as, or our mindset as an accumulation of our beliefs, our attitudes, our assumptions. And this literally shapes how we think and feel and respond within ourselves to those around us, and even just literally our everyday circumstances that the world brings. And so this is where I would say it is so important for us to be able to properly understand boundaries and have a solid mindset around it, because like that's what keeps us safe. Again, so many people, and I think through it's a good thing that social media is talking about it, but it's getting used in this very weird way of like, oh no, this is just my boundary and I'm going to block you out of my life. Yes, that may be the case, but again, going from a personal boundary, maybe that does require I'm setting a boundary to myself to stay off social media so I'm not having the world consume my thoughts and fill me with fear. So now my mindset is that I'm paralyzed and I can't go do anything because I'm constantly being reminded of all of these terrible things that could be happen if I leave my house.
Yes. Makes sense. And thanks for saying that. I believe there's so much noise on social medias. It's hard to find the right person who would help you. And I really want to talk about an inner voice or our inner critique that's always telling us that you are not good enough. And I believe there's so many people who wrestle with self-doubt. That would include me at times as well, and especially moments of transition and trauma. How would you help begin to untangle those deeply rooted beliefs?
Yes, I'm going to share this and it's going to sound really simple, but that does not mean it's easy. So that is also why, like, as being a coach, like having me alongside somebody in the trenches, as I like to call it, to do the deep digging and to like face the fears, to face the limiting beliefs and these unworthy thoughts. The very first thing we have to do is we have to identify them, because we have a tendency, it's like we know it's there, but it's just like spiraling in our brain over and over again, but we're not actually talking it. We're not actually like naming it. I'm very big on like analogies, and I always have like a story or a visual for everything. And I feel like the way that we talk about ourselves and that fear or the self-doubt that comes in, I don't know if like, I just always like think of movies or even like growing up, like as a kid, being afraid of like the monster under the bed or a monster that's in the closet, right? And so it's like you're sitting there and you're freaking out and you're like, I can't get out of bed because this monster is going to grab a hold of my ankles. And so it's like you like scream to mom and dad to like come in and save you from this monster under your bed. And they roll their eyes, they flip on the lights, and they're like, Jayme, it was just a slipper. And then all of a sudden you look under the bed and you're like, you're right. And then all of a sudden you're not scared anymore. And that's kind of how I feel I'm able to help people. It's like, hey, let's really name those thoughts and let's start to take its power away. But the first thing that we have to do is we have to truly identify it and really be aware of how much of a hold it has on us, and then start putting together action plans to take the power away from the monster under the bed.
That's perfect, and that's right. You said it sounds easy, but it's not easy. Yeah, and I think most of the limitations that we think are on us is just right here. It's just in our mind. We are our biggest enemy, I believe, in most of the things. So thank you for sharing that, and that is something you help people identify all those problems that they're experiencing at that time.
Yeah, 1,000%. I get to be the parent that turns the light on in the bedroom and like goes and looks under the bed with you to be like, see, it's not that scary.
And that is so powerful. And thank you for doing what you do, Jamie. It's my next question would be sometimes people would say, I feel so far from that, and they feel lost and they don't know even where to begin or where to start. So what would be your message to them?
So what I do also when I kind of take a moment to share, if you're okay with this, is that like I had it brought to my attention a couple of times over the past couple of years. They're like, you're Jayme, you're just so happy all the time. Like you've probably never even been through any hard stuff. False. I have a very diverse resume personally and professionally, between experiencing tons of death. I've been in abusive relationships, drugs, alcohol, issues with eating disorders. I had a massive burnout because of a kidney infection and working too much by the age of 25. I was raped at one point, like you name it. There's been a little bit of everything that I've experienced. And so it was very much a journey that I had to go on. And so I guess the encouragement that I would like to give in that, and this is kind of also why I think like it means so much to me, is because the creator of this world and what he created, right? Like woke me up today for a reason, which means that like there's still purpose. Like it's not wasted that you're still here, which means you're not too far gone. I have the pleasure of getting to go out to Gatesville, Texas, and I get to do prison ministry. And I have seen so many ladies who have been incarcerated for so many years, but like there's ladies that are writing books while they're there and how they are changing the lives of these other people who are broken and have come with some really big baggage, and they're bringing healing and relationship. And some of these ladies are even completing certifications like on cognitive life skills, and they never had even had a chance to graduate when they were outside in the free world, right? So it's like you're never too far gone, because if you woke up today, there's purpose to that. Again, from a mentality standpoint, you can choose to live in that reality that I'm too far gone, or you can choose to live in the fact that like, no, I'm still here today, so I can use this and I can go do something with it today.
That's true. That's powerful. You have to really work on your mindset. Like when I worked with my coach probably 2 years back, that was like what you would like just Google and find stuff on mindset, and actually working on your mindset and getting to the point you never thought you would be able to. So what's like a good expectation for people once they start coaching or working on their mindset? What is a good timeline for people to expect that they would really get to see these results?
Great question. A couple of analogies again, because like I said, that's always how I speak in things. You never like reach this point of being done working on your mindset, right? Like you don't eat one meal on Sunday and then you're like, oh, I don't have to eat the rest of the week. Like it's something that you have to do daily. As a coach, I will always have a coach. I am never too good to become better. And so, it's just like a muscle in the gym. Like if you want it to keep getting stronger and you want to keep it healthy, you have to keep practicing and you have to keep training it. The example that comes to mind, and I think Gary Vaynerchuk is the one that said it, he goes, you can read about how to do a push-up all day long, but you're
Mm-hmm.
never going to be strong enough to actually do push-ups until you get down on the ground and actually practice them. And so to me, that's the same thing in how the brain works, right? And that's like with our mindset, and like life is constantly happening and there's a whole lot of chaos out there. So there's always going to be plenty of us to work on,
Mm-hmm.
which can sound daunting, but is also so exciting because every day is a day to like learn and get stronger and become better. And so as far as like how quickly you can get results, I mean, I think that's the same as with anything else, right? It's the amount of effort that you choose to put into it is how quickly you could get results. But I think that the coolest part about what I have found in my, how long have I been coaching? 7 years, is that a lot of times what people's expectations of what their results will be within the coaching never actually ends up being their biggest celebrations and their biggest transformation. So for me, I mean, I've literally seen within a couple sessions, people are like, how have I lived any other way than this? Like, this is crazy. I have some people who are like, I actually just had a call with my client yesterday, and we're 7 weeks in, and I kind of reflected over the last 7 weeks, and she goes, holy cow, we've accomplished all this in 7 weeks. She goes, I can't even imagine how awesome I'm going to be a year from now if this is what we've just accomplished in 7 weeks. So I think the choice is yours, and in how you choose to approach it.
That's true. That's true. Thank you for saying all that. Thank you for sharing that. That was deeply personal. And I love your analogies.
Good.
They're amazing. You go through so many things. You touch people's life in a very different way. So how do you push through a lot of things on a daily basis?
Yeah. So to me, it also is a benefit to me being a coach. There are some days where I'm like, who do you think you are to be coaching people because you don't have your life together? But then I'm like, no, 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 no. That's why I'm the best person to do this, because I get to be a product of my own product. Who am I to tell somebody or help coach them and encourage them to get through that if I won't do it? So for me, again, it's very much that motivator of like, I owe it to myself and I owe it to the people around me to be the best version. And what that's going to require me to do is to sit in the gunk. A lot of the people that I work with are what I like to call the workaholics and the strong friend, where it's like their addiction is almost pouring themselves into their success with work or taking care of everybody else. That's an avoidance tactic from them truly having to look themselves in the mirror and do the inner work. It's easy to go hire another business coach or another fitness and nutrition coach and make all this money and lose all of this weight and do all that type of stuff. But truly sitting and looking at the person in the mirror is a really, really hard thing. I've attempted to end my life on multiple occasions. So quite literally, I shouldn't be here. But I relied on words and quotes and motivators of just like, no, like I'm here for a reason. I've got to do something with this. Like thinking this way isn't making my life any easier. So what if I try this way? And so it's a different kind of hard. Both are going to be hard. Choose your hard. And I'd rather get to experience a life of joy by disciplining myself to do the hard things than take the easy way out and then sit in this just darkness because I refuse to like genuinely face my reality.
Wow. And that shows what an amazing mindset you have. Yeah, and that's really cool.
Daily practice. Minute by minute, we're practicing, girl.
That's true. So let's lighten up things a little bit, and I would like to. This is just like a rapid fire round that I'm trying for the very first time in this episode, and they were just quick answers from your heart. So, what's one morning ritual you never skip?
My Bible. Second I wake up, I go to my Bible before I go to the world. That influences everything within my day of being fed by good stuff before the bad stuff can get to me.
It's amazing. A book or quote that changed your life.
That's so hard because I actually have an entire book that has tons of them. I'm going to go with the one that I repeat the most. We need water to survive, but water can also kill us. Too much of anything is a problem.
A problem. That's true. Wow. Okay, that's powerful. One thing you wish every person knew about themselves.
Truly, the only thing stopping you is you. I'm going to follow this up with another quote. I used to work with special needs individuals, and so I literally got to see on a day-to-day basis that the only disability is a bad attitude.
That is powerful. That's true. Oh my God, that's amazing. Coffee, tea, or something unexpected to start your day.
Coffee. First thing in the morning, got my Bible and I got my coffee. Don't miss
Okay,
it.
okay. Perfect. If you could put one message on a billboard for the world to see, what would that be?
There's still time.
That is
That's literally just right on the spot. I don't know where that came from, but that's what we're going with. That was the first thing that came to my mind. There's still time.
that's perfect. That's true. And the last question will be, what's something you believed 5 years ago that you have since let go of?
That 5 years ago, I was thinking that that was the best that my life was ever going to get. Because like I said, I've lived in a lot of darkness in my life, and there was parts of me that almost felt guilty because I'm like, there's no way it could get better than this because of how dark it used to be. And I could not have been more wrong, because now 5 years later, I'm like, what? It's still getting better.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that again. And Jamie, your words are like a bomb. You make the science and soul of this work come alive. And if people would like to, go deeper and work with you, they would like to have you as a coach, which everyone should, because I love the mindset. I've seen her speak at multiple stages, and Jamie is amazing. The energy that she brings into the room, because I've been able to visit some of her table networking events, and I absolutely love her energy. And sometimes I even think, how does she bring that much energy? What is she having in the morning? So I know it's Bible and coffee now. So where can people find you, Jamie? And after that, I would love you to talk a little bit about your book as well.
Yes, perfect. So I am a big fan of I like to say cyberstalk me. My name is obviously right here on it, but I am the Jayme with no eyes. You can find me on my website, coachjayme.com. You can find me at Jayme the Coach on Instagram, my podcast, all the things. But yes, I would love to give credit to the coffee, but I have this obsession with mornings. Like I wake up at 4:03 a.m. and I'm like, who's up? I am. Let's go. That's even before the coffee hits. I wish I could tell you where it comes from, but it's just naturally I've always had far more energy than I know what to do with. And as far as working with me, I do specialize in one-on-one coaching. All of it is virtual. So I work with men and women all around the world, but I do also do speaking events. And then I do also offer like productivity workshops and come into corporations and do different workshops and stuff like that as well.
Okay, that's amazing. That's good to know. And Jamie, I would love before we go, before I give my final closing thoughts, I would love for you to talk about your book, Beyond the Words.
Yes. So the book Beyond the Words, I actually had written it back in 2021, and quotes were kind of quite literally the only thing that got me through. And so I compiled it down to, which was super hard, to 123 of the quotes that most impacted my life and quite literally saved me.
Mhm.
But the difference of this book is because it also says it's 123 quotes to inspire action and growth, and very similar to what my podcast talks about, is we don't live in a world that we have an information problem. You can Google and chat GPT anything and have a solution in 0.2 seconds. We have an implementation problem. So we need to take action on the information we are receiving. It's a book you don't have to worry about reading start to finish. You can flip through and find a page, whatever you want to do. But there's always a quote on the left side. And then on the right side, it's my perspective of the quote, a part of my testimony and how it helped get me through something. And then I always leave everybody with an encouragement or a call to action so that way they can go do something with that quote that they just read.
Wow, that's amazing. I love because it's not just a code book, but your perspective just makes it even so powerful. Now I have to read that book as well, and I will let you know. And it is available on Amazon.
Just Amazon for right now.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. That's amazing. And thank you so much, Jamie, and thank you to everyone who's listening. Thank you for choosing to spend your time with us, whether you are in the middle of a transformation or just thinking about that first step. Please hear this: healing and your growth matters, and you are already enough just the way you are. And if today's episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it. And know that we are walking this journey together. Until next time, take care, stay balanced. And I absolutely loved our conversation. Thank you.